Now, Far Cry 3 wasn't a broken game to begin with, so there wasn't much that needed fixing with Far Cry 4. I mean, not to say this game doesn't have its fair share of ups and downs, but, well, let's take a look.
The following is brought to you by Straight Games for all your new and used games and accessories.
You and I are gonna tear shit up!
The Far Cry franchise hooked me from part 3. Far Cry 3 was one truly impressive title with just a few shortcomings. Well, let's see if they managed to fix any of them.
I hate when things get out of control.
At first glance, Far Cry 4 will seem like just more of the same with nicer graphics, and for good reason. Not much has changed in the style of Far Cry. First, let's start the story. The story of Far Cry 4 isn't a very impressive or logical, or for lack of a better word, believable one. It seems really thrown together. It seems like the devs just wanted to stick to a formula that worked in Far Cry 3 but didn't stick to it at all. Far Cry 3 had a deeper, more impactful story and a better antagonist.
I'm with Ajay Ghale. You'll love this part. Help.
In Far Cry 4, you're AJ Gale, or Ajay Ghale as some would say it. You have come to Kyrat to bring your mother's ashes home. On the same day you get there, your vehicle is stopped by the local military. Shots are fired and chaos ensues. You end up back at the ruler of Kyrat's place, a psycho named Pagan Min. He starts talking to you like he knew your mom real well. As a matter of fact, I thought the dude was your dad for a minute.
Don't worry about a thing, my boy. This will soon be behind us.
And things got even more crazy, and you end up fighting for the rebels in a bid to take down Pagan Min. Now, the way the story unfolds is just too unbelievable and convenient. It feels like, okay, let's hurry up and piece together a story so we can get the player into the fight.
Are you joking?
Now, where visuals are concerned, I say nicer graphics because obviously the visuals have improved. What we have here is our first next-gen Far Cry game, and it's definitely showing up the next-gen's capabilities. From the characters in-game and cutscenes to the environments, vehicles and gun models to the animals, Far Cry 4 is a beauty to look at. Still on the visuals, the animations in Far Cry 4 are what we have grown accustomed to. Very detailed, in some cases too detailed and annoying, but I'll elaborate on that in a minute. For now, visually speaking, similar to Battlefield, the animations are impressive.
We need to secure that shipment and those fields.
Amita, we talked about this.
The voice acting is just as good as Far Cry 3, maybe even better, as I don't hear much of those annoying monologues I would hear from Far Cry 3's protagonist.
So we liberate our people, then what?
It's not our way. It never was. You do this, you're no better than Pagan.
The characters in Far Cry 4 aren't as dynamic and interesting as Far Cry 3, but they did present themselves well, regardless.
Not only does he kill people, but then he just shits on them. He's like R. Kelly, but worse.
The radio disc jockey is particularly entertaining. Says some unnecessarily disturbing stuff sometimes that leaves me to question motives, but still a funny guy.
Trust me, I'm very open-minded. I definitely swing left, and if you can keep a secret, so can I.
They should have given him more material though, as he repeats himself quite often. Sounds like a broken record sometimes.
I'm telling you that right now. I play way more tunes than him, and I don't come at you with the same nonsense and drivel, okay?
On to gameplay. Crafting is back. The ability to create things you need, from hunting wildlife and picking various plants. You learn that while this might seem optional, it really isn't. I say seem because if you think about it, you can go through the entire game without ever upgrading all of your items, but I wouldn't advise it. You'll quickly realize that crafting a bigger bag to carry guns, a bigger wallet to carry more funds, and so on are an integral part of an easier journey through Kyrat. Something that was missing from Far Cry 3, the ability to move a body after you've dropped it. You can do this now, and I really can't imagine what the devs were thinking when they first submitted this, but no worries, it's here now. You can be attacked by various animals in Far Cry 4. Not just the tigers and bears, but also from above. Yeah, be on the lookout for crazed eagles. You still have your magical camera. Yeah, that's the one that allows you to tag enemies and track them through walls. I'm not complaining, as this is really useful and the game would be quite a chore without it. This brings me to a major problem I have with Far Cry in general. Far Cry is presented as a stealth game. The best way to achieve any kind of success in most of the missions is through the use of stealth, but here's the problem. Far Cry was never and still isn't built for stealth. And that's why I'm saying the camera is so welcomed. You just need to play a Far Cry game, any Far Cry game, and you'll immediately see this flaw. Your character is in no way designed for stealth. Yeah, you'll see me and others getting some stealthy looking kills, but it's easier said than done. Your character can't even go prone. That's ridiculous. How many times have you been playing Far Cry and wanted to lay low in some grass or nearby bushes, but you just can't? There are additional stealth elements that you can unlock as you proceed, but still, this is a major flaw on Far Cry's part. You have no real cover mechanic. A weak and not so useful lean, yes, but sometimes it would really help if you could assume a third-person perspective, but no, none of that. Another part of gameplay that could use a third-person view is driving. Driving in Far Cry is still a very awkward experience. One you could eventually get used to, but still awkward. All driving controls are mapped to the left thumbstick. That's gas, brake, and steering. Wrong. Just wrong. They did, however, add an auto-drive feature which can come in real handy, especially when it's time to drive and shoot. It's not logical, but I'm not complaining.
Always moving around.
The upgrade system is still entertaining and really useful. Some of the upgrades I look at, like perks in Call of Duty though, they really shouldn't be considered upgrades. You should be able to do all these things right out the gate. But these upgrades, similar to the crafting system, do give you something to work towards and adds a more purposeful feeling to the experience. On the subject of purpose, the extra or side missions you have in Far Cry 4 are presented in a similar way. Although they are side missions, they are relevant, like liberating an outpost or capturing a radio tower. All of these side missions, though optional, really goes a far way in aiding you through the main campaign. And some that actually seem like side quests really aren't side quests. They are things you need to do to continue on to the next campaign mission. That does sound a bit contradictory, but once you start playing Far Cry 4 for yourself, you'll get it. The side missions aren't as empty and meaningless as other games either, like Sleeping Dogs for example. The weapons in Far Cry 4 are good and bad. The good is, well, you have a decent variety and are able to customize some of them. The bad is, some of these weapons just aren't as effective as they should be. What I do is, I make sure that the first crafting upgrade I get out of the way is the gun carrying case. I need to have all slots available so I can carry a decent variety of weapons. So when one weapon falls short, I'll have another that can fill the gap. Like a grenade launcher, sniper rifle, bow and arrow, machine gun combo. Trust me, they all have their strengths and weaknesses.
No alarm! Don't get spotted, period!
On the topic of guns, you can also call in some backup. Guns for hire is what they're known as in Kirat. So if you ever need some help, you can either use the online co-op feature and bring a friend to help you, or use your guns for hire tokens to get some NPCs to assist. Didn't find them that helpful though, but whatever. The various modes of transport in Far Cry 4 are impressive. You have your regular cars, trucks and vans, but you also have the use of quads, boats, and even this helicopter thing. Very useful. This heli helped me to realize how balanced Far Cry 4 is, because at first it seems like this game can get a bit tough. But after a couple hours in, I realized there's a smart and easier way to approach most things here. The radio towers, for example. If you try scaling them, you'll find it real hard to capture these propaganda spreading machines. But if you use the heli, you'll zip in and out of them completely unnoticed. You just fly to the top. Or when trying to clear an outpost, riding an elephant comes in real handy. Back to the animations in Far Cry. You know how in games like Call of Duty and Battlefield you get shot, run behind cover, take a few deep breaths, then you're good to go? Well, it doesn't work that way here. Your character has to go through this whole elaborate animation where he plucks out a shard of glass from his hand or removes a large bullet from his flesh or wraps himself in bandages. This at first always looks cool, but here's the thing, it gets old fast. Real fast. Apparently the only way to cancel this animation is to perform a melee attack. And these animations do take a while. Now, there's a regen function, but it's significantly slower than what I'm used to. And if you bought syringes, you can also stab yourself for a quick heal, but these aren't limitless. So yeah, that whole patch yourself up thing can get annoying, especially when running from a hail of gunfire. All of these gripes I've had so far are totally subjective and no game breakers. But what comes close to game breaking is stuff like the invisible walls, the glitches, like right here, I'm actually trying to move. The touch controls are also too sensitive, and most of the times I don't get the gun I'm trying to quick select. The multiplayer, well, let me put it this way. When games like Wolfenstein The New Order and Bioshock 3 left out multiplayer, they made a bold statement, which was, not every game needs or should have multiplayer. I found the multiplayer in Far Cry 4 quite lackluster to say the least. Very similar to Far Cry 3. Now, while many say they really stepped it up a notch in this installment, I beg to differ. They should have left the multiplayer out. I don't need Team Deathmatch and Capture the Flag or any of their derivatives in Far Cry. I know where to go when I need that. We have here 3 modes of PvP, which you can take on as either the Rakshasa or the Golden Path, Outpost, Demon Mask, or Propaganda. These all vary between a defend and destroy form of gameplay. There's a map editor mode that allows you to play on your own maps or compete on maps other players designed. The Rakshasa are a stealth group of assassins, while the Golden Path are a more run-and-gun group. But at the end of the day, I stand by what I said. The PvP in Far Cry 4, as in Far Cry 3, feels irrelevant and tacked on, just so the devs could say, yes, we added multiplayer.
The feces hit the fan, my friend. Pardon my French.
Now, because Far Cry 4 is such a huge undertaking, I could easily go on with this review forever, but in actuality I can't, so I'll wrap it up. Far Cry 4 does well on many points. They played it safe by sticking to a formula that worked, ironed out a few kinks that didn't. However, they left in some inexcusable nonsense like a faulty stealth system in a game where stealth is such a high priority. Even though you can customize your drive controls, a third-person view would have been a great addition. The game also gets a bit glitchy at times and so on, but Far Cry 4 is still an ambitious title that lived up to many of those ambitions, and I applaud Ubisoft for another Far Cry well done. The lab gives Far Cry 4 an 8 out of 10.
Awesome.
After the break, we passed through the recently held Tiger Knee tournament and also talked to the tournament organizers of the upcoming League of Legends tournament.